Oh, indeed. Testimonies,
Charlie,
and they must be good ones. Certainly. The fact that you are alive alone is a testimony, isn't that?
And it starts with a new day. And God is doing something new.
And did you go to church?
I know a lot of
Of course.
Did you go to church?
I go to church.
Yeah.
I'm not a church goer. I'm a Christian.
I think you're a church boy.
Oh, okay. I head goer.
What do you do at church?
I'm part of the welcome team.
Ah, okay.
Oh, it would be nice to be welcomed by AJ.
I know.
He'll be showing all his 32.
Yeah.
Good morning.
So how come you don't welcome me when I come to work?
Because I don't like you.
Okay. Good morning, guys.
We're back to this feuding. I forgot. We've missed you, AJ. So now that you're back, I remember you and Johnny have outstanding issues. But anyway, good morning, guys.
The feud actually started with him at radio, 3FM.
Right.
Every time I go on, he has to, radio is audio, it's not visual. So he has to describe you. And he goes, not just shots man with the pot. Well, I don't have the pot. Actually.
Yeah.
I have to suck it to But short man with the pot round, but it's very unflattering. So when I see him here, this is my territory.
Oh, so at least thank you for giving us a brief history into why this feud still exists. But of course, good morning to you and thank you for allowing us into your homes. It's a beautiful Tuesday morning. Of course, it's terrific Tuesday. If Bright was here, it's the day for pizza, but he's not here. I'm just reminding you on his behalf, go out there, grab a pizza, buy one for a loved one and enjoy yourselves. But of course, we plan to make it a good morning for you right from now till 9 a.m. when we wrap up for Afro Tales for those of you who love the movies.
It's a great Tuesday morning, and
I mentioned food. You want Johnny to come on your case again? The Pottsville.
No, it's flat.
No, you're not my loved one, so sorry.
Hello, Johnny.
guys.
Well, now that we're talking about gays and lesbians, are you sure you want to be greeting Johnny?
No.
Please,
I refuse this greeting with all the vim in me. See, he nicely told his side of the story, but Miriam was hosting us.
Okay.
And Miriam started with a description. She lacks a few words, so I had to help.
Oh, so you were the dictionary.
Yes, I was helping, providing the words as we moved on.
So the intent was not
to ridicule, and he felt in love with the description actually, but as an afterthought, he decided that he would start feeding.
Pick on it.
It's okay.
Can we just ignore
It's fine.
him,
It's fine. But your tie is nice.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
It's borrowed.
It's borrowed.
Those are, those are my words. Those are my lines.
You know how he says good morning to the people. Good morning, Johnny.
I trust you're doing well. It's Tuesday. Make it fun. Go out there. Win. It's important that you win any day. Look, yesterday we were told that some grenade has been found somewhere in Odoko and all of that. God will take care of us. That concerns that our security people didn't handle the situation properly. And I don't know. I'm not a security expert, but I saw the grenades out there. What we watch in the movies is anything to go by, But God will take care of us.
He always does. That's the part where we fail to. Because if we were to deal with only the actual security provided for Ghanaians here, most of us, I'm sure, will not make it into the next year. But he is a good God. It's time for news, isn't it?
It is. It is time for news. Well, okay, up next is news this morning. Good morning to you. My name is Anthony Jackson. Now, 3 persons have been arrested by the police who intercepted objects suspected to be explosive of varied species from them at Odoko in Accra. Police Public Affairs Directorate, which confirmed the arrest, said the suspects whose names are being withheld are currently in custody assisting in investigations. According to police, investigations have been intensified as it is coordinating with other relevant agencies, urging the public to volunteer information related to the case by calling the National Emergency number 191 or Vodafone MTN toll-free number 18555. Now, Accra High Court has granted bail to Lebanese national Habib Haddad, accused of raping his Ghanaian house help. According to the court presided over by Justice Kofi Dogu, enough time has been given to the prosecution to gather evidence, but they have failed to do so, hence the decision.
The judge further dismissed the argument by the prosecution that the accused person could abscond if granted bail. The accused person was granted bail to the tune of 500,000 cedis, with 2 sureties to be justified, with one being Guinean. He is also to deposit his passport with the registrar of the court. Defense counsel Ralph Edusei-Poku, after proceedings, expressed satisfaction with the bail conditions, adding they are prepared to meet it. Habib Haddad, 39, who fell ill in December after his arrest, has been on admission at the police hospital till date. He is alleged to have lured his 19-year-old house help into one of his bedrooms and forcibly had sexual intercourse with her when his wife and other occupants of the house had gone out.
Now in Kumasi, the police have arrested 2 persons in possession of suspected narcotic substances. The suspects were on a Niger-bound bus were apprehended upon a tip-off. Here's a report by Ibrahim Abubakar.
The suspects, 37-year-old Razak Yakubu and 30-year-old Adamu Zipo, were arrested by a police patrol team at Boho near Kumasi. They were on board a Niger-bound vehicle with registration number GM450712. A search conducted revealed 47 compressed parcels of wrapped substance suspected to be Indian hemp. The Kumasi Central Division Police Commander, ACP Nuhu Jango, said the substance will be sent to the lab for testing.
This is a fight not only for this division or the region. We believe that it's a national fight against the use and abuse of narcotics. Our youth are falling to it, and the future doesn't look too good. So the police is not joking with it at all. We are very, very serious. And any information on narcotics and any other crimes will be taken as seriously as it ought to be.
The police served notice to clamping down on individuals and groups involved in the illicit trade and possession of drugs.
Now, the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry has expressed regret over the continuous mining activities in the Accra River. Deputy Minister in charge of mines and MP for Prestea Hene Valley, Barbara Otenjesi, says the task force needs to step up their game in order to achieve the ultimate goal. She was reacting to Peter Kwao Adato's story on the resurgence of galamsey at Prestea in the Western region.
On Wednesday, January 10, this reporter came across this group of young men busily engaged in galamsey activities in the Accra River. The reporters were unable to get out of the car or even let us stop for fear of possible attack from the illegal miners. They, however, looked more relaxed as our vehicle slowed down. The illegal mining activity was being undertaken on the outskirts of Prestea Hene in the full glare of passers-by plying the road to the Prestea Hene Palace. The site is an old galamsey area on the banks of River Accra. So we ask if Operation Vanguard is in the area and why the illegal miners still operate with impunity.
The ban is in place. We expect all to abide by the ban, but we have the situation where some people still trying to defy the ban and they still engaging in the illegal activity. The Operation Vanguard has been doing very well, trying to monitor such activities to arrest anybody who is flouting the ban. If there's still mining activity going on the Accra River, then I think this has not come to their attention. We will draw their attention to it so that they can take action on this.
Illegal mining, popularly referred to as galamsey, has become a national security threat. Almost every water body has been polluted and large tracts of farmlands destroyed. Again, galamsey sites are dotted with deep and gaping holes that often trap unsuspecting persons. These and other challenges prompted the entire nation to rally behind the Lands and Natural Resources Minister John Peter Mewu when he launched the revolt against all forms of illegal mining activities in the country. Yet the practitioners refused to back down on the practice.
For a certain period, we realized that the turbidity of the Ankobra River was improving because all activity on it has ceased. So if some people have gone back to mine on the river, because this is really the gravamen of the situation, our water bodies which are being destroyed. That is what this fight against Galamsey is seriously against. So we'll have to deal with it immediately.
Barbara Jesse called on all to support the campaign to help protect future generations.
Now, there was a standoff between officials of the Economic Organized Crime Office and the Deputy Commissioner of the Electoral Commission in charge of corporate services as she tried entering her office 6 months after she was suspended. A defiant commissioner vowed to break into her office if Yoko officials made any attempt to prevent her.
The deputy commissioner focused on one thing: entering her office and continuing her work.
I spoke to my lawyer and then we scheduled that Monday afternoon we will meet at Yoko. We'll meet the executive director. And then before I could say Jack, they went and then came back again. And then that they had to lock me out if I move out of the office. And then I said, I'm not moving an inch. So if they can carry me from my seat and throw me out there, then they lock it.
Armed policemen from the Economic and Organized Crime Office invaded the offices of the Electoral Commission ostensibly to force the Deputy Commissioner of the Electoral Commission, Georgina Pokwa Mankwa, out of her office when she reported on Monday. But she resisted, insisting the action of the Iyoko is unconstitutional. The Deputy Chair of the Electoral Commission has been the subject of an investigation after several allegations of financial impropriety were made against her. After several hours of locking her up in her office, she reached an agreement with the lawyers and the boss of Iyoko.
What we have agreed is that for now she would have to stay out for some time, and then after the less than 14 days, as I said, whether the results are the investigation report is in or not, we'll still proceed to work.
Minutes after, the Deputy Chair of the Electoral Commission walked out of her office with the hope of returning in 14 days when the Iyoko finally provides her information on her interdiction. Komla Kluche, TV3 News, Accra.
And now the chairman of the Millennium Excellence Foundation, Ambassador Victor Beho, has denied expatriates were coerced to make payments with promise of sitting close to the president, Nana Akufo-Addo, at the recently held Ghana Expatriate Awards. Appearing before the Committee of Inquiry, he said monies received by the foundation in connection with the awards were from voluntary sponsorship.
The chairman of the foundation, Ambassador Victor Beho, together with the president, Ambassador Ashim Morton, and their counsel were consistent the whole period. All their responses and testaments pointed to deny the allegations they extorted money from expatriate businessmen. The team documented evidence to prove that this had been the practice in all their events since 1999.
This explains, in addition to my illustration, that wherever we host an event, the Millennium Excellence Foundation makes arrangements for the head of state, and the founder is always seated next to the head of state on that row. And this is why it's called the Presidential Gold Table.
They maintained the president referred to in the sponsorship package was the president of the foundation.
And therefore, the reference is to the table of the president on which he invites others to. We are seriously considering whether we should use that nomenclature in the future, because we can see how misunderstandings can creep up and lead us into conflict with enemies that do not exist.
According to him, the foundation agreed to have an account at the Trades Ministry to ensure transparency and accountability. He, however, rejected some documents tendered in evidence by earlier witnesses saying they were foreign to him. The original sponsorship package, for instance, he said did not have anything like a ministerial circle, but the committee had a copy submitted by a witness which had that.
This document is foreign to the foundation. I've never seen this document before. As I mentioned earlier on, all our sponsorship packages were in color. And if you look at the font has changed.
Only on that line.
Only on this line. The font has changed.
The lawyer to the foundation, however, objected to a request by the committee for the bank details of the foundation. According to him, all monies collected in relation to the event were paid into the ministry's account.
You can only rely on the general clause and related matters. You can only rely on it with relevance to the receiving of money by the Ministry of Trade and Industry. I don't believe this was intended to be a fishing expedition. I don't believe it was. You have your parameters. We're here to help, but we are not able to go down an interminable forest search.
The foundation confirmed the ministry had no hand in the sponsorship package. The Millennium Excellence Foundation is at the center of a controversial allegation of selling seats at the event for between $25,000 and $100,000 to some guests with the promise of allowing them sit close to the President of Ghana. The Minority Chief Whip, Muntaka Mubarak, first made the extortion allegation in Parliament in December 2017. He said the fees charged at the Ghana Expatriate Business Awards (GEBA) were not approved by Parliament, adding that the monies were also not accounted for in the internally generated fund (IGF) of the ministry's account. The Trade Ministry, in a statement, clarified that it only facilitated the implementation of the initiative by the Millennium Excellence Foundation. The minority moved a motion in Parliament for a further probe into the matter, compelling the Speaker to recall MPs from their recess, leading to the formation of the committee.
Now, traders conducting businesses on pavements and portions of streets in Accra have left following a series of decongestion exercises conducted by the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. The traders are struggling with their wares, claiming they cannot find space in designated selling places to conduct business. Eva Atiboka has more.
I was so much impressed what I've seen. The street is becoming cleaner. The people themselves are also realizing that it is always better for them to leave the pavement and get into the market.
Big markets in Accra. Some of the markets are virtually empty, like 31st. So we're asking them to go back into the market. If you go to Odona at the moment, which is supposed to be a bulk breaking point for foodstuffs, they had rather moved to Tudu to come and trade over there. We've asked them to go back. We have a pedestrian shopping mall also at Circle. We've asked them to go back. So there are empty, sheds, there are empty markets that we are asking them to go back.
Store 4,000, then nipa 10,000 egu abont. You better that chamana yi. They say kwaji store ba kwa 600 million. Ebi kura di store ba kwaji $100,000.
Now, Senior Adjunct Research Fellow of the Institute of Economic Affairs, IEA, Dr. Eric Osei Asibe, is asking government to diversify the country's income sources since more oil discoveries are not certain. He projected a negative 1.6% oil production growth by 2021, which could impact negatively on the country's socio-economic development.
Last year, the country discovered more oil at the Sankofa and Chinibwa and Yera Intome 10 field, with production ongoing at the 10 field. The growth in the oil sector was 69%, translating to 17% to gross domestic product. Based on this, the government projected GDP growth of 7.9% for last year.
By 2021, the growth in oil production was slight to about 1.8 in 2020 and about negative 1.6% in 2021. So there's going to be a consistent washout of oil production or output.
Senior Adjunct Research Fellow of the Institute of Economic Affairs, IEA, Dr. Eric Osei-Sibe noted the development will significantly impact revenue.
If we don't discover any more oil or have it in significant quantities at commercial level, by 2025, we may have very little revenue coming from oil.
The senior lecturer at Economics Department of University of Ghana advised the country has to look beyond oil and gas to make up for the shortfall from oil revenue. He underscored the need to structurally transform the economy and diversify income sources to end overdependence on oil and gas.
We have to start thinking, how do we diversify our economy? How do we ensure that we depend less on oil? You know, invest more in our agricultural sector, invest more in manufacturing sector, so that in the event that we are no longer getting oil revenue, we can get enough revenue from agriculture and from our manufacturing sector. For me, that is where the national discourse should be directed to now.
As of November 15, 2017, total oil revenue was in excess of $3.8 billion.
Welcome back. So let's do news headlines now. We'll start off with the finder. It says 14% ECG tariff cut begins this month. That's coming from the president. Also, one village, one dam procurement processes begin next week, says the vice president. Then there has been a correction on the finder. It says our attention has been drawn to the fact that HIV infections rose from 20,224 and not 12,000 as we published yesterday in 2015 to 20,418 in 2016. We regret the error. I guess that is well noted. Also, police display and professional conduct in the grenade arrest. So these are the stories carried by the finder this morning.
I want to talk about the, two issues, the tax cuts on ECG, on tariff cuts, and the police display of the grenades. Right. I remember fondly what Dr. Vladimir Nchidanso once said. He said that, look, security has gone beyond pulling your guns and brandishing your muscles and your weapons around and making everybody see that, yeah, you are the man in charge. Certainly. It's gone now into proper intelligence gathering. Because, and he gave an example, if you go to the Accra Mall now, it's a crowded place. Somebody comes there wearing suit or a three-piece suit, has a bag with explosives, and leaves it right at the center. How would you know he has a bomb or he's a terrorist? How would you know? So when in the wake of the Ivory Coast, the Burkina challenges where we had our military men around, I put a question to him and this was his response to him. I think that that is still relevant to the extent that what the finder reports this morning is that we had the grenades put on the table and we saw them even before regular news portals broke the story. The pictures were all over. So now you're wondering what the ripple effect will be. Those who are accomplices of these people, whether they would stay where they are or whether they will flee, and whether or not we are qualified enough to deal with them in that particular, and apprehend them. I think that we need to be up and doing a bit. Look, our security operatives are doing a lot, but there's a lot more that they can do to save all of us. Exactly. This is scary.
Johnny, rightly so. And you know, sometimes we think it has to be the big things, but it's actually the very small things that matter. Because from this report, what we understand is the manner in which they displayed it on the table. So, and you know, in the same picture, you realize 2 of the suspects are handcuffed. They're sharing one, and 2 others are not handcuffed. So assuming they really intended to do harm, all they needed to do was just pull the pin, and it sets a chain reaction. Because once one is pulled, it will set off a ripple effect. And in that case, the police there harm themselves. And so I really do agree.
The people around, living around.
I really do agree with this report saying that they did display unprofessional conduct. So it's not really the big things. All we're saying is that grenade probably could have been kept somewhere where it's displayed better than what we saw on, in social media, on the cameras. And also the people who were arrested, the suspects, should have been in handcuffs, each person to one. And And we see this all the time, even in when people go to court and they're filming, you know, it's on video. You see that the way we handcuff, it's either one person to another, and then your other hand is free.
Maybe we don't have handcuffs. Maybe we
so
don't.
We can probably procure them. We should, if that is what they need to make them work well, then certainly let us know, and then we'll advocate for these things to be provided. But you also mentioned, you know, the security in somewhere like the mall. Johnny, I have constantly thought about it, and I'm scared to go into such open places because of the likelihood. You see, no one intends or thinks about the fact that someone can harm you on a regular, but this is the reality, because when you go to Kenya, up until the time when they'd had so many attacks, every single little place you go, you are checked. There's always security there to check you. But in Ghana, we take it, so I think it's only the big hotels that check, and then maybe the airports. Those are the only places you have to go through actual security detail. But even some of these places, you can really escape it. So it's something that has to be on our minds constantly. It has to be a lifestyle where right from scratch, we're taking care to do the little things, so that when the big things come, then we can say, oh, at least you tried, and so we can excuse you for this. But if we can't do the small things, then why do we trust you with the big things?
Speaking of security, you get to these big hotels or big places, and they have a convex mirror. Is that a convex mirror? You know, and then they will look under your vehicle. So
some even use it to scratch your car. Anyway.
So if there's a bomb there, then what?
I have no idea.
The two men who check it, who have the convex mirror, who bring it, and then they, good morning, madam, can I check your vehicle? Then they check it, then they open your boot. So if there's a bomb there, then what?
They'll try and they'll now call national security.
We play too much in this country. And look, the last time I checked, we had close to over 400 private security companies alone in this country. The IGP did very well by cracking down and making them all change their uniforms. Some of them are still wearing their old uniforms anyway. I know that by that end of the year 2017, they were supposed to have changed their uniforms, not to have any resemblance with any of our state security agencies. But that still persists because you still find people who wear uniforms that look like the police, like the military, like the immigration, and all of that. What kind of training do we invest in these people who are supposed to be providing security? Because if you go to the mall, the police are not there, the military is not there, it's private security. If you go to any of our hotels, it's private security. There's no police there, there's no military there. Unless, I may be wrong, but I have not seen any one of them, those places. So what kind of training do we give them? Is it just about press-ups and jogging and making them look muscular and putting them in uniforms so we can pay them less than 400 Ghana or 300 Ghana cedis every month, or some even 120 Ghana, 150 Ghana? Is that it? What went into their training in terms of intellectual capacity to be able to look at somebody and even identify that this person could be a threat? And we need to look at it. Perhaps it's something the Kofi Annan Peacekeeping Training Center may have to start looking at. The military as well may have to start looking at, so that we can at least have proper training. Today, if a private security company wants to employ somebody, they ask you to come, they take you to maybe 1 week, or they observe you small, they don't do any background checks really and all of that. Before you know, you are in a uniform and you're manning a very sensitive places. I dare say that even the people who guard here at TV3, if you do a proper sweep on them, you may find things that are very, very dangerous. And we don't seem to care. Nobody seems to care because there's lack of employment. So everybody wants. I could just go and be a security man in Takrady. What training do I have?
So the question then is, who supervises these private security companies? Because what goes into, like you said, assessing whether this person fits this job description? Because right now, most people are friends and family. So I have an uncle who hasn't been employed. He's over 50, really. Johnny, even for him to walk from here to that door will be difficult. And yet, he's manning someone's company door. And so you're really asking the question, is it just because you need a human being to pose as a security personnel to sit there? But if there was real danger, would this person be up and doing to the task? But we seem not to care.
I get to, and you know that private security persons are not supposed to hold guns, for example. They are only entitled to hold a baton for good reason. But even your policemen and sometimes, you know, other paramilitary organizations that, you know, are supposed to hold guns and wield same, you find them with a pot belly and you're wondering, this man is sitting in front of a bullion van and is supposed to be protecting the cash in there, and he has a rifle and he has a pot belly.
Yeah.
If there's chaos now,
he either shoot himself in the stomach.
So then you're wondering, so what are we up to? What are we doing? And this is a very, very critical thing. IGP, good morning to you. Minister for National Security, Dr. Kandapa, good morning to you. I want to say good morning to you too, as well. Minister for the Interior, Lawyer Ambrose Derry, good morning to you. Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, good morning to you. This is not the narrative we want to hear, that, you know, people have been caught and such level of unprofessionalism has been displayed. I mean, really, really, really. What kind of training goes into private security in this country? Nearly everybody is a private person. And sometimes, you know, the appalling thing, they sleep on their job. They sleep on their job. They just sit down, lie back, and doze off. The person who's supposed to be guarding you. So the essence is that it's just wearing the uniform to represent that you have hired somebody. Security. At the end of the day, you pay the person, but what goes into security, you never find it. They sleep on the job, they sleep and snore, and sometimes they turn themselves into messengers. So the people in the office, if you're a big man, perhaps you have not observed this, but the people in your office send these security men around, go and buy me gobe, go and buy me wache, go and buy me this, and they leave their duty post and they go and find them wache. So within the time when they have left your duty post, your valuables, to go and find wache and gari and beans and jollof, what happens to your valuables?
Haven't you noticed? They run shifts. So usually when you're sending, all of you send one of them, then the other will still be at post.
No, but you see,
then for lunch you change over.
There's good reason why the police, the security persons were placed at strategic points with a supervisor. So the supervisor
is never on the ground.
Is on the telephone chopping love with his girlfriend or somebody, that a concubine. One security officer is going to buy food. The other two are busy conversing or chatting. So what happens to your valuables? Think over it again. It's not about the name and whatever it is. And so what eggs me out is that they hire old people as well. Somebody who's been retired from the police service. He is 60 years, military, 60 years. And then
it was for good reason he went on retirement.
No, yes, but the person has experience. The experience is to strategize and not to wear uniform and come and sit out there in the
consultant at that.
Exactly. So what's the point? If your experience is supposed to be on paper, it's supposed to be strategized, it's supposed to be advising them and giving them the experience and wealth of knowledge that you have, and not for you to wear uniform and go and sit out there in the cold. I see 67-year-old people sitting out there in front of banks, and I wonder, what is this man doing?
He's also security now.
And the bank that hired the people to put that old man there, are they looking at the moral aspect of it? There's a good reason why we told the person, go home and rest.
Well,
they say pension, operation. Your pen is bent.
Oh, goodness.
Good morning.
Anyway,
please,
good morning.
We can do better.
We certainly can. But, Johnny, let's also talk about the ECG tariffs that have been cut. The president did announce yesterday at the Salon Academy being open. I think it's the 8th Salon Academy. Right. He did mention that there are some reliefs that are going to come to beauticians, tailors, and barbers. They were happy. Whether it really will come to pass or not is another thing. But you raised a question.
My question is, so how do we know which meter belongs to a hairdresser, a tailor, a seamstress, whatever it is? Because the truth of the matter, and as we know, is that most of these hairdressers, tailors, and all of those, even organizers and everything else, go and acquire residential meters.
Right.
They don't acquire
non-residential
or commercial meters. So if you say that the tariff cut is going to be for non-residential, how these people, most of them have residential meters. Sometimes it could just be his home and then, you know, attached to it. So they just connect the residential meter and then they link it to the shop and then they start working with it. So how do they benefit from the 14%?
So I think in
the modalities should be what we should be interested in.
Right.
The president has made the announcement. Good news, but how are we going to make it work so that people feel it? So that then we don't have people also taking advantage of it. Because if I don't run a tailor's shop or a barber's shop and yet I'm getting cuts because a barber is connected to my ECG meter, then what's the point?
Yeah. So I think it will, that part, I mean, the modalities, like you said, when they explain it, we'll get to know better. But in light of this, because government is trying to subsidize and help your, you know, company or your little scale, small scale venture grow, it behoves on you to also make sure that your meter is non-residential so that this will apply. But then again, you know how Ghanaians work or how we do our things. Because I'm going to benefit extra, I'm unlikely to go and buy that non-residential meter. But I'm sure when it rolls out, they will talk about the modalities and enforce it.
I'm tempted to think that, look, a lot of people, because when you use a non-residential meter and it's commercial, your tariffs are slightly higher.
Yeah.
So, because they know you're using it for business.
Exactly.
If I'm paying, if I can buy 40 cedis or 50 cedis and I can use it on 3 or 4 days or 5 days to do my work, and I have to go commercial, and that would keep me for 2-3 days or 2 days or 1 day with that same amount, why would I want the subsidy anyway? I'd want to keep my residential meter and still enjoy it. So we need to start looking at it. It's good. This will work for people who have like a barber shop with maybe about 7 workstations, and they are getting more people to come and use their service or, you know, subscribe to their service. If there's just one barber at Bubuashi or North Kaneshi or Alajo someplace who has just one small workstation, one clipper, and a small fan and a small light, small TV, and watches NewDay every morning, I don't know how this affects that person. So we may have to rethink this again, I think. So good morning to you, Minister for Employment and Labor Relations. There's the other one, Minister for Special Initiatives.
Yes,
okay.
that's Damboche, isn't it?
Yes, no, Damboche is reorganization.
Okay, that's reorganization,
yes, there's another one for Special Initiative. Then there's another one for business development. Yes. Minister for Business, Mr. Mohammed Awal. Yep. Good morning. So within that sector, there's a lot. Can we have the Minister for Trade and Industry, or is busy?
Certainly, he's
busy in Parliament. Yes. Yeah, he's busy in Parliament.
You're talking about the cash receipt.
Yeah, he's busy
in
Parliament.
But there's one story carried by Custodian. Of course, it affects my ministry, so I have to mention it. Health Ministry and Legon are in a dogfight over the ultra-modern hospital. See, the UGMC has to be open because there are doctors who are sitting at home who haven't been employed, and they're all hoping to enter this center. So, I mean, my confusion is why the Ministry of Health would give it to University of Ghana and then later decide to take it back. I'm not sure what the discrepancies are. Let us know the full story so that we can also understand what the processes leading to this are, and then everyone who's sitting at home waiting can also buy into the idea.
I like the way that paper puts it. It's dogfight, and you know, in dogfight there's no formula. You bite me, I bite you.
Anyhow.
And yeah, we just bite ourselves and make noise. But I think that this, rightly as you said, there are many of our doctors, nurses, paramedics who are home, who could get jobs there. The students themselves, I mean, having to travel all the way to perhaps the Legon Hospital, you know, or other polyclinics around, may find it more convenient. So let's activate the service for the people who needed to use it. This whole, it is mine, it is not mine, it is mine, it is not mine. I don't get it, really. Why was the hospital built? Anyway, was it built for a show-off, or was it built for who owns it and to show it off? What exactly is the point? Sometimes I think that we waste too much time in doing unnecessary things in this country. And for me, this is one of the biggest unnecessary things we have started doing in year 2018. I thought we left these things in 2017. Unfortunately, we brought them.
It was holding someone's leg and it was dragged along.
It's a dog fight. But let's say happy birthday to sweet Granny. Granny watches NewDay.
She does. Mrs. Amable, you watch NewDay. Yesterday was your birthday. We didn't get the chance to wish you a happy birthday. Stay blessed and age gracefully as you're doing. You're a beautiful soul. We love you. Especially all the members of CFCC are saying happy belated birthday to you.
Mrs. Amable, happy birthday. And also from Senior Bright, he's in Salvador. He's having a conversation with them following Donald Trump's thing. So he says happy birthday to Abigail. We don't know which of the Abigails it is, but
you know yourself.
Yes, Abigail, happy birthday to you. Harriet says you know yourselves. And also to you, Ness Loveling Mawena Enam is your birthday today.
That's a mouthful.
Yes,
nice
Loveling Mawena Enam. Yeah, Enam. Or
okay, so. Anyway, but it's time to rant. And what are we talking about? The University of Ghana Political Science Department has conducted a survey to find out if Ghanaians were to vote today, which political party will they vote for? Let's see what their results came up with as people rant about what they also think who would become president again if we were to vote today.
This is what it feels like.
It was making all the headlines until the special prosecutor was named, and so it took away the shine. But here on Daily Rant, we leave no development on the scars. We want to, peruse the research by the Political Science Department of the University of Ghana, themed Democratic Governance in Ghana, what voters say about the MPP government. According to the research, if elections were held today, 52.7% of Ghanaians will vote for the MPP, while 33.1% will go for the NDC. And after 1 year in office, the government also received an approval rating of 62%. But is this the true presentation and reflection of Ghanaians? This is Daily Rant. Let's keep talking.
No. I don't think that is a true reflection of what they are saying, because we need to know how the thing was done. For instance, we have 275 constituencies in Ghana, so we need to know how the samples or the views were collated. Yeah, that will give us the details of what, whether the thing is the true reflection of the Ghanaians or not. So they need to come out and give us the details of what they actually did.
If 52%, as you said, are in favor of the MPP, I think Ghanaian needs change. That was from 2016. And as this new government has brought that change, they are expecting more from the government, though he's also doing his best. Because working to satisfy a whole lot of the citizens, it is not an easy task. So I think the president is doing very well.
What we should be thinking about is, we've won, and the MPP has won an election. We shouldn't be thinking of running any pool now. Whether we run a pool for them to even get 100% or 99%.
After every year, we want to assess the government.
Does it really matter?
Assessing the government, we are using about 5,000 people to assess a population of about 25 million. We say it is a true representation of what the country is saying. It is undermining the UG itself. It is telling us UG is a joke of a university.
Oh, really?
Yes.
But have you ever
seen
sampling
for 5,000?
Have you seen a research that would want to talk to everybody?
It wouldn't want to talk to everybody, but like 25 million of 5,000 of 25 million. It's huge. It's a huge. We can't say let's vote here. We can have a poll right now, and then we'll say, oh, MPP is winning or NDC is winning. It is cheap research. What they did is cheap. It doesn't represent what Ghanaians feel.
For me, I don't think it's cheap, because scientists, they pick samples, and the hypothesis is whether to test whether it is no or not no. But the issue here is that out of 10 people, if you find, let's say, 5 people or 6 people are in the favor of this government, or are talking very favorably about this government, it has to tell you that Ghanaians are. So out of the 25 million, I think probably about 50 million are for this government.
That is why somebody like me, we would like to know the details.
So it was 5,000 respondents from 250 electoral areas, and 50 constituencies in all the 10 regions.
What we need to know is, these constituencies, are they strongholds of NDC or MPP? You understand? If you are running a pool and you sample views from MPP strongholds, definitely it will favor MPP. Okay. You understand? So that is what we need to know.
Government, and then they don't care. They will still tell you the government is doing well.
Okay. Do you really think some of the MPP people are suffering?
Well, we can start
now listen, about what my brother just said. We are not talking about people suffering right now. We are talking about elections. And with the 5,000, with what you said, you can't
give a representation of what people feel.
You can't
call
everybody for that.
The research they've done is supposed to
call everybody.
You can't call everybody for that. But it is trying to give us a representation of what Ghanaians feel.
Let me tell you something.
And it is wrong. Because people from Abusokan, we remember they were chanting, they even reduced their price because they thought they want to change.
Listen,
now they are telling us they want to go on strike because everything they were promising. It's not. So the change is not there.
Listen, the change
is there.
UG is there for some. Now listen, it's working. It's working. Right? You don't expect the government to work on all the sectors at the same time. You don't expect that. Listen, my brother.
We saw a government that touched all the regions.
In 1 year.
Whether in 1 year or not,
that's what I'm saying. We should relax. For me, what the government is doing now, me, I'll give the government thumbs up.
That is it.
Seriously. It's not, as in, it's not working for me. I'm not working right now. But I'm not saying because I'm not working, what the government is doing, it's not trying. The government is really, really trying. I'm telling you.
Talking about government trying,
I don't think we voted for change.
The research gave the government 62% approval rating, 62%. So
we didn't vote for trying. We voted for change. If it is trying, we wouldn't vote. We would say John Mama should keep on trying for 8 years. But like then we voted because people realized that John Mama has messed up the economy, and they said they were coming to fix it. And then in 1 year they are
for how many years?
Trying.
For how many years?
In 1 year they are still telling
talking about John
trying.
Mama.
Can you use 1 year to assess a government?
No, we can't use 1 year. We can't use 1 year.
That is why I'm saying that we can't use 1 year to assess a government. You understand? And if you want to do that, then there should be a benchmark. You understand? We should know how you did it, so that if we are all like we all sharing our views now, we will get to know that what they did is good, and then there wouldn't be so much to talk about it. You understand? But for us to just do things to favor somebody, what is the credibility of those who did the apple?
Where do they department of the university?
The person in charge.
Okay. Dr. Botman, sorry.
Yes, where does he vote? We know where he's coming from. You understand? I'm not talking of the voting aspect, but we know where he's coming from. We know he's NPP. So definitely, Massa, we are all in Ghana.
Let Kennedy Ajebon do the sampling.
This is what he do.
Let Kennedy Ajebon do the sampling and tell me MPP is having 52%, NDC is having 38%.
Why are you saying that? Why are you saying that?
But I'm shocked he says, Dr. Botman is for the MPP. I'm sure.
I don't know how.
Because in these few months we've gone with the MPP. Kennedy Ajebon has told us that he has implied that he's a Ghanaian. He votes for the citizens of Ghana.
Listen.
Although he's an MPP, he has told us where there are loopholes in the MPP. He has told us where Baumia should stand and stop saying the economy is messed up. The economy is messed up.
In every government there are loopholes. In every government there are loopholes.
And listen.
Let me tell you something.
By the moment you realize somebody's loophole,
in a year,
and then you say you are going to fix the loophole,
my brother,
in
a year.
And then in 2016, a gallon of fuel is 14 cedis, and then in just 2017, the fuel of a gallon of fuel is 21 cedis.
Listen. We are talking. Listen, in a year, for free SHS in a year. Listen, it's not easy.
It is very, very easy to implement free SHS.
Is it easy? So why did you do that? Why did you do that?
Let me tell you why it is. It is very easy because one, you came at a point where students have come out from their BEC, their waiting results. Yeah. The past governments have made available facilities for SHS. They've put it over wide 20 community day schools for you already. It's a matter of just saying go.
Day schools.
But there's funding. There's funding.
If the past government the economy was really messed up, they didn't have that funding.
George, let me tell you, it's a lazy man's approach.
Oh, really?
I'm telling you. Let me tell you, if you want to do a pool,
go to
the representative of the Ghanaian pools, right? You need to ask taxi drivers. You need to
go
ask
to Abasoka and do that.
Go to various sectors and then find out if the pool is touching the base. You understand? Not to be at one place. What are the people that even spoke to? You understand? We need to know. Let me come in. We need to know the details. Then of course we can rate the pool that they did. Other than that, I think it's just a lazy man.
Whenever MPP come out with a very good research, like the University of Ghana,
that is not that
I'm coming. No.
You understand?
I'm coming. Let me retract my research. Yes. Not a research. A whole university have come out with their research that 52% of Ghanaians will vote for an MP. Now, if Ben Epson would have come out to say that NDC will win, how would the NDC take it? That is my problem. No, I'm coming. The reason is that
Ben Epson will go to demonstration.
Ben Epson doesn't have facts.
Ben Epson has credibility.
He doesn't have facts.
We all know Ben Epson. You are telling us Ben Epson doesn't have credibility.
No, I'm not saying they don't have credibility.
No,
I'm talking of this very pool.
So moving forward, what do you guys want to see with regards to polls and survey? A friend of mine will tell me that anytime there's a survey in Ghana, they don't talk to him. So what do you want to see with regards to survey and the research of this sort?
For me per se, this research that was made by the University of Ghana tries to tell you that this government is ready for any kind of accountability to the people. Okay. And you know, that is what the citizens expect. Neither NPP, NDC, CPP. We want accountability. Where does that our money, what is being used for? How do we see that what is working? How is the money working for us? Are you getting it? And this government is in power just to make sure that things are in order. Okay. Are you getting it? So I think it should be supported.
You see, what I believe the polls should have been done is that if you want to sample views of people, you need to go to the grassroots. You understand? Because that is where the suffering starts from. You understand? We have 275 constituencies in Ghana, and for that matter, if you want to run a poll, you need to go to each constituency or more than half of the 75.
Maybe, do you think they want to cut costs or something?
No. If you want to, then you do not get the true reflection of the polls that you want to run. You understand? And you just want to do polls to favor some people. If you want to do that, then of course you can use 50 constituencies to run your poll, which in my view, I think it's not the best. You understand?
A constituency has more than 5,000 people. And then you said you sampled 50 constituencies. And you got 5,000 people from the 50 constituencies. When one constituency even have more than 5,000. That is cheap job. Go to Abusokan. Let the screen follow you. That is where you get a grassroots. That's where you get a poor man who was screaming on the street and was saying,
Are you trying to tell me everybody? Are you trying to tell me everybody in Abusokan voted for NDC? Voted for NPP?
No. I'm not saying that.
So don't go there.
That is what I'm saying.
Don't even go there.
The question is, how do I want the research to go like? I said, go to Abusokan.
Why are you still pointing
Let this camera follow.
Is it because you have a car? And you go to Abusokan and they always complain.
So I'm feeling it.
I'm also feeling it.
Go to Taba Station.
So just know you watching home can also partake in this discussion. Just log on to our social media platforms. On Facebook, it's News on TV3.
Go to Magazine Kumasi.
It's a News TV3. Our WhatsApp line is also active, 050-823-5228. We keep you from Lamadi here at Accra. Thanks for watching. Back and thank you very much. Let's get into the news review segment. The Daily Guide this morning says 3 nabbed with bombs. Ashin Martin grilled over cash for seed saga. Hairdressers mob Nana at Legon. Substandard cement hits market. And drama at EC. Iyoko fights Georgina. The Ghana Palaver this morning says Lion Kusibuafo exposed over car claims. The Shraj verdict report. The Daily Statement says government pays 1.45 billion Ghana cedis NDC arrears. 7,000 entrepreneurs benefit from free training under NEIP, and 14% cut in electricity tariffs. Big relief for hairdressers, barbers and tailors. More goodies for you this year, Vice President assures. The Daily Heritage reports this morning that Nana's key men bought vehicles, said Julius Zebra, as he rubbishes claims of selling state cars at Donkomi prices. Showdown at ECS Deputy Commissioner battles Iyoko, and KNUST Jubilee Mall organizes fire safety prevention training, which I think is good. The trial of NCA boss, 4 others begin today. We may take a look at that briefly. But Health Ministry, Legon in dogfight over ultra-modern hospital, the custodian reports. And the final this morning says 14% ECG tariff Richard cut begins this month. One village, one dam procurement processes begin next week, according to the Vice President. And police display unprofessional conduct in grenade arrest. Daily Graphic says 3 foreign nationals arrested with explosives, 1 alleged to be a member of ISIS, and no expert paid for access to President. Ashe Martin says so. My guest this morning is Sami Jemfi. Sami, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome. Sami Jemfi is a member of the NDC, and Richard Asante as well is a member of the MPP. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
How you doing? I've met you this year. Sami, I've not met you this year.
Yes.
Happy New Year to you.
Many happy returns.
New Year resolutions?
Quite a lot. Quite a lot.
Share one with me.
I think the major one has to do with the fact that it is my hope that by the end of this year, the living conditions of the people of Ghana would have improved considerably, and that the job-breaking scandals of corruption, And the culture of wastage that has bedeviled this government will be a thing of the past. And so that is one major New Year resolution of mine. But there are quite a lot, and I believe that when we are done with the program, I can share that with you.
Share that with me. I'm grateful. Thank you very much. You can join us as always on WhatsApp 050-823-5228. That's 050-823-5228. Richard, you had your turn last week. You shared your New Year resolution. It's okay. This is his resolution.
I want to believe that it's good to be hopeful for the best. But obviously, looking at what we met in what were served in 2016 and the years preceding that, it has appeared that in all the indicators shows that this country is making huge progress.
But that is his New Year resolution.
Giant progress.
Why are you countering his New Year resolution?
They want to contest
let's move on. Let's move on. Yesterday there was a standoff at the Electoral Commission's office. The Deputy Electoral Commissioner, Georgina Amankwa, had her own set of challenges with EOCO. Sammy, I'll start with you. You may have heard the details as it's progressed. What do you make of the whole encounter?
I think it's very shameful and embarrassing that at this stage of our democracy we'll be witnessing such incidents. I think clearly what happened yesterday at the offices of the Electoral Commission is unacceptable if you look at the democratic governance and the constitutional jurisprudence that we are practicing as a country. Because we know that the Electoral Commission is independent per the provisions of the 1992 Constitution. And we also know that the chairpersons or the commissioners of the commission are equivalent to high court judges. And by virtue of that, the processes for their removal is prescribed by law, specifically under Article 146 of the 1992 Constitution.
Absolutely.
And so one would have expected that this government, I'm saying this government because EOCO clearly is an agent of government, is an organ of government, would have, done things through the due process of law. Now, this whole thing is feeding into the culture of, lawlessness and impunity we have seen under this government, where the constitutional rights of individuals are being flouted, on a daily basis.
The EOCO is doing its work, don't you think?
No. But is that how EOCO does its work? Is the woman in question a criminal? That 5 armed officers of EOCO and the police would have to storm her office in that Rambo style? What crimes have the woman committed? Has the woman committed? You understand? Now, we know that as we speak now, a petition has been sent to the President in line with Article 146, and same has been forwarded to the Chief Justice, for which a committee has been constituted to go into the matters. Now, why is EOCO in a hurry? Why can't they wait for the committee of the Chief Justice to complete its work, for a decision and a determination to be made on that matter before it proceeds? Because that legally speaking, a lower body cannot seek to go into a matter which a higher body is already seized with. You understand? And so I appreciate the position of the woman in question. I think that to be fair to her, she should be allowed to go about her normal duties until the investigation by the committee which has been set up by the Chief Justice concludes its work. And if after that is done, EOCO still believes that there are still, criminal matters that it wants to go into. Clearly, they can do that in a decorous manner.
Admittedly,
the due process
the
of law.
director of the EOCO says that the investigation has lingered on for a very long time. So they came to an agreement for a 14-day stay for Madam Georgina Amankwa with her counsel as well.
No, I find that difficult to understand, because we know that the woman was asked to proceed on leave about 6 months ago.
Right.
And since then, the woman has been in the house.
Right.
Now, what they are doing is tantamount to constructive removal of the woman from office. Because you cannot be saying that it is taking you forever to conduct investigations into, alleged, or allegations of crime against the woman. There must be an end. Either than that, then that will amount to an arbitrary and a capricious exercise of power. What has happened is a clear case of abuse of power. And I think that the president must intervene. Per Article 146, it is only the president who can, ignite or commence the process for the removal of any of the commissioners of the Electoral Commission. Right. That has not been done. We know that the process is ongoing. My appeal is that we hold our horses. Wait for the committee that the Chief Justice has constituted to go into the matters to complete its work. And after that, if there are still outstanding issues, EOCO can go in. This whole, Rambo style of doing things, this whole, we want to show you where the power lies, and this whole attitude.
Is that the indication you get?
That is the indication I get. It's very embarrassing. At the end of the day yesterday, we are told that the matter was amicably resolved. Right. And the woman agreed after she had engaged officers of the EOCO that he was going to leave, and she was going to give them some period to resolve the issues. Now, why couldn't they do that at the beginning of this issue? Why did they have to go there in the manner they went? Before seeking to engage the woman in an amicable way for the resolution of the matter. I think that this is a needless irritation. We don't need that now. You understand? And this government must learn to treat people in accordance with law. This government must learn to respect the human rights, and the freedoms of people. And I think this is not helpful at all.
I thank you, Sammy. Richard, so this is what happened at the Electoral Commission's office. You have heard Sammy Gyamfi, and he is not alone in this in this expression. Many think that it is not good for our democracy, especially, and to think that it taints the office of the Electoral Commission. What do you say?
I'm surprised with the comments of my brother on this particular issue.
Why are you?
And I think we need to look at this and explain to the general populace what exactly happened and what has been going on over the period. He's brought in a couple of things which I need to take some time to sort of explain. What has happened to the EC over the period? We've known that since they're coming to be on right after the elections, the electoral commissioners themselves started blaming each other. They started throwing salvos at each other. Some talking about illegal vote transfers. Remember, the EC chair herself, Madame Charlotte Osei, accused one of her deputies, Mr. Amadou Sule, of illegal vote transfers.
But that's not a matter in contention.
I'm trying to see if you allow me. If you allow me,
Richard, hold on. Richard, hold on. Forgive me. If we spread the matter,
I'm not. I'm trying to.
Richard, hold on.
There is
if you spread the matter into accusations and counter accusations,
if you allow me,
Sammy Gyamfi will get in there and
make a lot of blanket statements, trying to create an impression that people are chanting or trying to remove somebody, and we need to understand.
But you stayed within the region of the issue.
If you allow me a moment, I'm sure you would have understood it.
No, but you're spreading it.
No, obviously no. I don't have my time, and let me build my argument.
Right.
It's very important to allow me my due so that I can articulate my views and opinion on this matter. What it is that we know that the EC officials themselves started complaining and blaming each other. Then there was a complaint launched at the EOCO by the EC chair on this particular matter that her deputy, Madame Amankwa, has misappropriated some funds, spent some money, and awarded some contracts illegally. These complaints were launched at the EOCO by the EC chair herself. It's not from any outsider. So when you talk about the fact that government is involved and government is dragging, we cannot understand. Because in terms of this investigation that is ongoing, this started before the petitions to the president that was subsequently forwarded to the Chief Justice to form a committee.
Him saying government was involved was that EOCO is a state organization.
No. But I'm saying, my point is that government did not report this incident to EOCO. It was a letter emanating from the office of Madame Charlotte Osei, accusing and pointing to certain things that she thought was done wrong by her deputy. And she launched those complaints that the funds for workers of the EC and all those have been appropriated by the Madame Opoku Amankwa.
And investigations were started.
Investigations are ongoing. Now, as part of the investigation, they required that the woman was interdicted and she was supposed to go on leave. She then comes to the office. As for me and the government, what we understand is that we do not expect any state institution or state agency to act out of virus, to go and breach the laws and also trample on the rights of individuals.
Is it your opinion that what happened yesterday at the EC's office was any of what you are describing?
See, I wasn't there, but the reports that I gather is that indeed the woman went to her office, and when she went to the office, the reports were made to the EOCO because they were investigating the issues. I'm sure one of the reasons why when during such investigation they interrogate the people and they ask that they sit in the house or they do not come to the office is that sometimes there will be documents in your office, there will be information on your computer that they could use in furtherance to the whatever investigation that they are doing. So I know those might be one of the reasons why they would ordinarily ask somebody to proceed on leave in course of investigations of this nature. But at the end of the day, I'm sure what the EOCO did was to go there. My brother was talking about the fact that why would they go there with police officers? What do you expect them to go there with? With military men?
Policemen heavily armed.
What is heavily armed?
He describes it as Rambo style.
No, what's the meaning of heavily armed and those jargons, Rambo style and all those things? What's the meaning of heavily armed?
You don't believe
the police officer going and carrying one or two weapons to the place? That's how they operate.
There were 5 of them.
So, even if there were 100, is there any problem with that? Did they breach any law for going there? Did they beat anybody? Did they shoot anybody? They were there as part of the because you could not determine what can come out of such situation. What about if there have been fisticuffs and there have been other things that had necessitated the call for reinforcement? You don't need to go down prepared. They went there prepared. They realized that they could sit down and talk and come to an amicable solution. And they were able to resolve the issue and came to a conclusion that the woman could start work 14 days after that.
So
all those discussions happened.
That was the negotiation they had.
It does not.
But then the counsel for Madam Georgina Mankwa raised the question that if the Supreme Court, or if you will, the Chief Justice has set up a committee to look into it, which EOCO is subservient to that committee, then EOCO might as well rest his case so that the Chief Justice's committee would finish its work.
There are state institutions and state bodies performing their various functions. One thing we need to understand and appreciate is that what is the purpose of the investigation, the petition to the Chief Justice? The purpose is to seek to the removal from office of the individuals who were named in the petition, i.e. Madam Charlotte Osei, Madam Georgina Mankwa, and Mr. Madusole.
Right.
That's the purpose of that investigation, the Chief Justice committee. But in terms of this particular thing, to investigate whether indeed these people have spent the money that they did.
I'll give you an example.
The Chief Justice Committee is looking at whether indeed these people are fit to occupy the position.
Richard,
if they are not fit to occupy the position.
Richard, I'll give you an example. Yesterday, an Accra Criminal High Court granted bail to the Lebanese in the airport saga.
Yeah.
The High Court granted a bail because the tribunal, the lower court, didn't have the power to grant the bill.
Of course.
In this scenario, the Chief Justice's committee is senior to EOCO.
No.
It's
not. You can't necessarily say that.
It's not.
No, you can't necessarily say
that.
Why
so?
You can't necessarily say that the Chief Justice's committee is superior to
why can't we say
an
so?
investigative body, a state institution that have been mandated to go. They perform various roles. This is a committee, the ad hoc committee of a sort that have been set in place to.
Don't you think that both of them working simultaneously could conflict each other?
No.
They won't.
No, because you see, one thing you need to understand is that the EOCO's investigation, they will report to the AG department. Whatever they come out with in terms of their investigation, they will then go to the AG department and report to them. The AG will look at the issues as presented before them and the various documentation that have been presented before them and see whether certain is really an issue that we can prosecute. If they look at it and it is prosecutable, they will go ahead and prosecute it.
Right.
So in the Chief Justice's own, what it is that they will then recommend to the President whether these people should be asked to stay on as EC chair and deputies, or they should be sacked.
So confirm for me, Richard, you see nothing wrong with what happened at the EC's office yesterday?
Obviously, I would have wished that these things do not happen.
Okay.
Because what it is that you expect that we're able to iron out things, even in a moment of disagreement, we're able to iron out things in a more smoother manner without necessarily introducing that level of...
But a few minutes ago, you said there was nothing wrong with the Iyoko taking armed policemen there.
I'm saying there's nothing wrong with the principle of police officers going there with Iyoko.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with it. But I'm saying that going there and the kind of the media encounter and all those people screaming on top of their voices, I thought those things could have been avoided.
We were just doing our job.
I'm saying it's not you, but I'm talking about those things could have been avoided.
Thank you.
But it doesn't necessarily mean that the Iyoko erred in going there with police officers.
Right. Sami, a minute for rebuttal.
Clearly, my brother is contradicting himself. But you see, first of all, let me make the point that there is everything wrong with Iyoko storming the offices of the Electoral Commission.
What's the meaning of storming?
With heavily armed
going to
personnel.
Electoral Commission.
He says your words are harsh.
No, I'm saying it as it is because you showed it live on your station.
Is
what I'm saying false?
These are meant for
what I'm saying is a fact. It is a fact that the police and officers of Iyoko stormed the offices of the Electoral Commission yesterday. You understand? And the personnel were heavily armed. That is true. It is also true that they went there with 2 armored vehicles. For what purpose? To arrest a 50-year-old woman, and Richard will sit on television.
Did they arrest the woman?
No. To seek to evict.
Did they go there to seek to evict?
Let's have a civil discussion.
Allow him to.
What they sought to do was to evict a 50-year-old woman from her office. And they needed 2 armored vehicles. They needed all the ammunitions and the weapons we saw on display on television.
What's
to do that? And you are here defending that. It wouldn't have been even wrong if they had gone there with 100 policemen. You see their mentality? You know, the fact that you have, control over the agencies of state, the fact that you have control over the security agencies, doesn't mean that you can go about things this way. This is very embarrassing. You understand? And I think it's important for you to condemn that, because you went around in circles only to conclude that you wish that things had been handled in a much different way. Secondly, let me also put on record that Iyoko is subsidiary to the processes which have been, if you like,
triggered by
the petition to the president. Because that process is enshrined under Article 146 of the 1992 Constitution. It's a constitutional process. Iyoko is a statutory body. So this is elementary law. A statutory body is subsidiary and subservient to a constitutional body. And if you look at the communique which came from the office of the Chief Justice, they indicated clearly that they do not want anything to be done to prejudice the work that they are doing. And so if the woman feels that the investigations that are currently ongoing at the Iyoko has the potency of prejudicing the work of the Chief Justice, why can't Iyoko wait for the Chief Justice to conclude its investigations? What crime has the woman committed? And again, please let me finish. He was contesting my claim.
You allowed him too much time to.
Richard, I allowed you time to. Sami, wrap up for me.
Listen, he was contesting government's involvement in this whole thing. Who deployed the policemen there? This whole claim about Charlotte Osei being the one who reported the issue to Iyoko, where is that coming from? That is
that's basically
but those are facts.
Those are facts. Yes, but it is also.
And it's being investigated.
Sami, please, Richard, allow him. Richard, allow him. He allowed you to speak. Please allow him.
The point I'm making is that was Charlotte Osei the one who asked them to deploy heavily armed policemen and 2 armored vehicles to evict the woman? The fact that somebody submits a petition to you doesn't mean that the person endorses this law. I know Charlotte Osei to be a lawyer, and she will never endorse this lawless act. What has this got to do with the lodging of the complaint with Iyoko? So let's separate the two. The two are not the same. Why? Are we having a coup d'etat or a military takeover?
I thank you very much. Let's move on. The Daily Graphic said 3 foreign nationals arrested with explosives. One alleged to be a member of the ISIS.
After my submission, you came in to make a rebuttal. So obviously, it's time to reason for me to be given a time to make similar rebuttals. So the point is that I need to make a point, then we can go ahead. That will be fair.
A rebuttal of a point you have not made before?
No, of course.
Right.
You see, what my brother is suggesting is that because there's a petition and the Chief Justice's Committee is investigating, today, Madam Charlotte Osei and Madam Opoku Amankwa and all those individuals involved can go and commit murder, and no police have no right to investigate them.
He didn't say that.
No, that's the import. You are talking about the fact that and ammunition. Because you are complaining about me coming in. Because of the fact that these issues are before the Chief Justice Committee, today they can go out there and do anything at all, and they cannot be subjected to any law. That's suggesting obviously you are saying that she cannot be investigated. Okay. There can't be further investigation in there. No other state institution can come in and do any other work because there's a Chief Justice Committee in place. Yes. When there are two different things that the individuals are looking at,
much.
The Chief Justice Committee, the idea is to look at whether they are fit to be there as the EC officials. Whether they are fit to be there. No, but this particular, please allow you. No, it's not the same. It's not the same.
Thank you. I give you 1 minute.
This one bothers on funds belonging to the workers of EC. You understand that?
Richard, I give you 1 minute. I give you 1 minute.
But it's coming in. You are not stopping him.
You are engaging him.
You are allowing him.
Let's move on the conversation. 3 foreign nationals arrested with explosives. One alleged to be a member of ISIS. And yesterday, we wrapped up the day with this shocking revelation from the police. Must we be scared, Sami Jemfi?
Must we be scared?
Yes.
I think the question should rather be, are we scared? Because clearly, since this government assumes the realm of power, Ghanaians have been sitting on tenterhooks. We have been living under a state of insecurity.
Why do you say so?
Because we have seen the perpetrating of naked thuggery and lawlessness as the day goes by. It's been one, happening of, it's been lawlessness. Let me put it that way in simple terms. If it is not invisible forces attacking DSP Nanka Bruce at the seat of office.
How is that connected to this?
It is connected because those acts by those groups are terrorist acts. And that is why we in the NDC have classified them as terrorist groups.
But you have those groups in your party too.
No, not at all.
You don't have any
not at all. Since when? Since when? Did you hear?
Richard, allow me to
Since when?
Richard, allow me to do my work, please.
Since when? Since when did you hear any group in the NDC attacking a court of competent jurisdiction in the full glare of the public? Like members of the Delta Force.
You didn't even attack them. You went and killed judges.
If you do that, he will do that to you, and we will not have a conversation.
You understand? Which group in the NDC had the opportunity of attacking, a DSP, a senior police officer at the seat of government? You understand? Under our tenure, we didn't see this level of impunity we are seeing today. If it is not Delta Force today, it is invisible forces. If it is not invisible forces, it is the Bolegatanga Bulldogs who are on rampage. If it is not the Bolegatanga Bulldogs, it is the crocodile babies who are wreaking havoc on innocent citizens. If it is not them, it is Abronye babies, it is Kelankuto boys, and so on and so forth. And all these groups are groups which were created and funded by the President of the Republic of Ghana when he was flag bearer.
You don't know that for a fact.
Of their political party.
You don't know that for a fact.
I know that for a fact because the President on one occasion turned himself. No, the point I am making, if you are not getting the connection, let me show you the connection. What I am saying is that these acts of lawlessness, these acts of terrorism that we've seen under this government is what has made the grounds fertile and moist for terrorists in other foreign countries to identify their counterparts in this country. That is why they are sending them missiles. That is why they are sending them grenades.
Is that what we want?
That is not what we want. But that is what the commander-in-chief of this country, the president of the Republic of this country, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has turned Ghana to.
The president has said on countless occasions before Parliament out there that he doesn't support in any way the activities of any vigilante.
And have you ever heard the saying that action speaks louder than words?
He has appointed people to do the work. The IGP, the National Security Minister, the CDS, the Interior Minister. He has tasked them to do the work.
The Flagstaff House is just a stone thrown away from your office. You can go there as a media person and find out for yourself the security detail at the Flagstaff House. You will see these guys there. So I'm just trying to tell you that what the president is saying is a mere political rhetoric. He doesn't mean it. In all sincerity, what the president is saying is a lie. Because if you go to his house right now, you will see these guys there. He moves with them in his convoy. He is the one who funds the activities. And I'm saying that so long as we have groupings in this country embarking on such lawless acts, embarking on such, naked thuggery, attacking state institutions, closing municipal assemblies, attacking courts of competent jurisdiction, freeing people who are lawfully before courts of competent jurisdiction. Terrorist groups in other advanced countries will see this country as a fertile ground for their activities. And we will continue to see some of these things.
But when and if this happens, and frequently so, it will know no party colors. It will be from a nationalistic point of view. No,
but I've not spoken about NDC, PPPC, PPP here. The three journalists. I know, I'm told that one was from TV3, the other from Ghana Web also, who were attacked just around Christmas time at the national headquarters of the NPP, beaten to pulp. Are you saying that that is a political issue? Are you saying that that is not a legitimate issue to be raised? They claim that the president is a human rights activist, a defender of the law, a supporter of the rule of law. Have you heard him condemning that? Have you even heard a statement being issued by government spokespersons on that sad incident? So what is happening? The lawlessness which is being perpetrated, which is being, perpetrated against the citizens of Ghana, is being done with a tacit approval of the president. And that is why these people always escape the remit of the law. That is why they always walk as free men, and that is why they are not sanctioned in accordance with law. What
is the way forward? Something that the police were unprofessional, even displaying the photos and the images of these people, and that it would give rise to other things.
My brother, listen, this is clearly a national security issue. This government has a minister for national security. They have a minister for interior, and many other deputies and so on and so forth. They have a national security coordinator whom we are paying with our taxpayers' money. And the president is their boss. He is the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces. And we have a social contract with him that he should keep us in a state of security and protect us so that we can go about our activities in a peace and stable atmosphere. And so the point I'm making here is that it behoves on them to ensure that these things are stamped out from our society and that we begin to see law and order. And the best way to do that is from their own political party, because it is said that charity begins from home.
Thank you. Richard, your take on this one. Just last week we were speaking about this on this very platform, and here we have, now it's gotten to grenades and other things. Are you scared?
I would want to say congratulations to the police. I want to applaud them. I want to applaud the security operative. I'm excited that as a country, we've been able to nip this in the bud. US, UK, and other countries continue to suffer in the hands of ISIS and other terrorist organizations, not because they don't have state machineries in place, not because they are not working around the clock to fight or prevent them, but in most cases they failed. And so far, so God being good, our security has been up to the top notch. They continue to provide the needed services. And my brother, the good thing about this,
it in the bad, as you
said. The good thing is that these people have been arrested. We've not seen any attack That's the most important thing. Because obviously, this could have gone wrong, and this could have found itself in any place, any public gathering. And that, like you said, the people or the individuals who would have suffered it, you wouldn't have known NDC, MPP, or anybody. It would have been Ghanaians who would have lost their lives because of some individuals who are not even Ghanaians. These are foreign nationals.
How are we to know that some are not in the system
please,
already?
please,
allow him, Sami.
You can continue to be pessimistic,
Richard,
but we are quite optimistic about the workings of the script.
Richard, you have a flaw.
And I'm telling you that I'm so happy and so excited that the police administration, and I'm saying kudos to the IGP and his team, especially the division where these things they were able to arrest it. And I'm happy. We need to continue to applaud them, because the point is that, look at Nigeria, what continues to happen over there. I've mentioned the UK and the US and other places, that on a daily, on regular basis, these things are happening. The bombs are going up all over the place. They are killing people, they are shooting people. They're finding themselves at their border, but at every given time, we are able to find solutions to this. We're able to deal with this. And we thank God for that kind of protection. The next thing that I need to come to is, it has appeared that our brothers from the NDC have some scripted or well-rehearsed analysis that they put across, regardless of whatever issue that is being brought to the table. What are the issues that you brought to the table this morning on this particular matter? You are talking about the police being able to arrest individuals with grenades, weapons that can kill. And these people are alleged to be part of the ISIS organization, terrorist organization. Then what you talk about is minor incidents that has happened over the period in this country, and referring it and then using the opportunity to lambast the president of the republic. Really?
Which are the minor issues?
You understand that?
Which
really,
are the minor
we talked
issues?
about the fact that in our history, nobody has gone to attack court. And indeed, whatever happened at Kumasi was something that some of us are condemned.
But is that minor? Is that minor?
Allow me. See, how we've condemned over the period.
I want to understand.
If you allow me, I will make my point. It will be helpful for all of us. We've condemned this in all certain terms. But my brother, let's look at our history over the years.
You have said they are minor issues.
Don't worry, don't worry. You talk about things that has happened here and there. All those are minor compared to the example I'm coming to cite.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. Allow me, and you appreciate my point. I tell you that if you compare this incident to what has happened within the NDC and their what do you call antecedents, the Armed Forces Revolutionary Council and other organizations that are tied to the umbilical cord of an NDC, where judges were pulled from their houses and murdered and killed.
That was
judges.
That was
please. That was NDC. All the same individuals, my brother. Is there a nomenclature that has changed? I'm coming.
History is important.
But what he's talked about is history. What he referred to, he's not talking about today's incident or what is to happen tomorrow. He referred to history. So allow me to refer to history.
The history was last year.
No, please.
Richard, hold on.
You see, for the purpose of argument,
Richard, hold on.
Let's educate our people.
Richard, hold on.
You talked about the fact that
the history.
You don't want to allow them.
Richard, hold on.
Allow me.
No, Sami, hold on. Richard, hold on. The Fourth Republic started in 1992. That was when we heard of NDC. Any period prior to that was PNDC.
See,
they are two different issues.
I understand. That is why I talked about.
That's why military regime.
That's why I spoke about. See, that's why I spoke about what is tied to the umbilical cord. See,
Sami, allow him.
I know that kind of question will come in. That's why I said that an organization or a gentleman that is tied to the umbilical cord of the NDC. NDC continue to celebrate every element or all the successes of the PNDC and Armed Forces Revolutionary Council. They continue to celebrate it. The elements in there are the same. They continue to, at every given time, talk about all the things and all the successes that regime chopped. So when it comes about the negative tendencies, we are referring to them, and you want to talk about the fact that we can't talk. And I'm sure in the beginning of the discussion, we're not given a time frame in terms of examples. That is why he had the opportunity to go back into history and talk about things that he claimed this is the worst that has happened to our country. And I'm telling you that compared to sacrificing individuals, judges, beating judges, killing them, this is not a West.
But
even
Richard, that was why
the lives of three former heads of state,
that was why Ghanaians voted for change.
And the rest, that is why we voted for change. So that's why I'm saying that in moving forward, when issues happen, let's try to address them. Because obviously, there have been incidents at NDC head office. We've known that NDC Congress, where Francis Esiam and others were shipped People were literally cajoled. People were pushed away from the meetings and all that. We've sat in this country and vice president has been slapped. Vice president of the republic. Accra was slapped. So we've known all these things. So what it is that we need to understand and appreciate is that in this particular matter that we are discussing regarding the police pounding or arresting these individuals, I mean, let's continue to applaud the police. As citizens and as members of the community, let's continue to volunteer information of individuals that we cannot, but let me give this information, it's very important. Individuals that we cannot really authenticate what they do and the kind of lifestyle that they continue to live. Let's volunteer information to the public. Because you see, in the modern day policing, the chunk of the work would have to come from the citizens. Because the police, how many police force or even the military, how many do we have? They are not up to 200,000. But we have in excess of 27 million Ghanaians. It does appear that the responsibility sits right with us as individuals of the community.
Must this arrest make us sit and heave a sigh of relief and say, well, it is well?
No. It tells you that something is happening. That we have a president who cares. That is why he appointed competent individual to man the various security installations. That is why these things we were able to arrest. We are talking about ISIS event. As far back as 2015 and 2016. That's why we heard that KNUST students under John Mahama, President Mahama regime, His Excellency, that KNUST students have been recruited by the ISIS organization. We heard of a lot of activities of ISIS and all that. We heard about it, individuals who have joined ISIS. We heard it, didn't we hear it? So if you are making it look like it's a new thing, this is the first time we are hearing of this. What we have been able to do is to arrest people who wanted to cause mayhem in this country. And that is something that we need to give the police a thumbs up.
I hear you. Thank you. 30 seconds.
No, but if he gets the 30 seconds, I'll give him 30 seconds.
I think it's important for us to set the record straight. Now, first of all, I think Richard knows that President Kufuor, who is one of the foremost personalities of the UP Dumbu tradition, was a member at a point in time of the PNDC. Honorable Ajay, who served as a minister of state under the government of President Kufuor, was equally a member of the PNDC. So when you are talking about atrocities committed by the PNDC, which was a military regime, then you cannot dissociate these personalities who also belong to your tradition from those activities. But what are we saying here? We are talking about acts of lawlessness under a constitutional order. And you want to rationalize and justify that with acts you want to rationalize and justify that with lawless acts which happened
journalists and destroying his recorder.
Okay,
you can talk about all those.
Allow me to make my point. Let's take some messages at this point.
Let's with acts which happened under a military regime.
When you are reading the chairman was seen holding.
Gentlemen, your microphones are off. Alasan Wana says this government is unlike the previous government, which was reluctant in fighting corruption. This administration, led by His Excellency President Akufo-Addo, is putting all measures in place to make sure that he will fight corruption and corrupt officials who engage in the act. Good morning to TV3 and to your panel. I'm confused because if Yoko have used 6 months in their investigation and still have not been able to reach a determination, I wonder what the 2 weeks will bring to Yoko. They should be serious in this country. Ladi, Alora, Awoni, and Bongo. I'm highly disappointed the way this MPP man is talking. Things are happening in this country. Criminal acts here and there, not but the police decided to storm a woman's office. Yet the MPP man says there's nothing wrong with that. God help us under this government. Kennedy in Kumasi. A.U. Farouk in Tamale says our security in this country is not safe. Government must wake up. And he uses all caps, means he's screaming and he's not happy about it. From theory, where did the message go? Okay, let's look for it. Okay, from theory and practice, a research to be credible, it must be based on sample size of not less than 30% of the population. How could anyone structure a study on any problem on sample size of 5,000 cases out of about 25 million, less 0.1%, and expect the study to be taken seriously? That's the University of Ghana's survey on whether or not if we voted in January, we would be retaining the government. We don't have a cause to complain for arresting dissidents with explosive devices because successive governments have woefully failed us when it comes to issues relating to the fight against terrorism. We were here when South Africans were brought down to train one political party hooligans. So why are we complaining? Alhaji Willie P. in the Fiekoma says so. Dr. Abedi Kwada, so big shoes, says thanks to His Excellency President Akufo-Addo for the reduction of 14% electricity tariff for non-residential users in this country. Truly, Ghana is working under a good leader, but what the Yoko did was wrong. It's against Madame Georgina Opoku-Amankwah's human rights. Why must they intimidate her as if she has killed human being? She even told them to go. She will come, but they insisted they will remove her by force. Thank you very much. The NDC man does not make sense at all. You say Anson Kufuridi is not happy with Sami Jemfi this morning. Very worrying how Sami Jemfi does his politics, always being mischievous and seeing nothing good from his opponent. Very bad and desperate opposition. Kwesi Reynolds from Agona Doping TV3 New Day. Good morning. The MPP government just knows how to talk. That's all. NPP communicators should tell Bawumia to stop bragging. Why? Because now the foreign currencies are the major problem to the business community. So why are you bragging about these arguments? Please stop the bragging and fix the dollar and cedi challenges that the Ghanaians go through now in the country. Thank you very much. Osman Burkeson in Tamale. Johnny, Sami has said it all. The vulnerability of all of us has been exposed. Grenades now flying to and fro in our motherland. It's a shame the security of this nation and its citizens is under question under this incompetent government. God save us. Alexander Semoji in Dansuma. Good morning, TV3. We need to respect the laws of this country before we storm public offices with guns. Iyoko shouldn't use political means, to which hands the Deputy Electoral Commission. I'm highly disappointed in the shoddy and unprofessional work of Iyoko. They should rather look sharp and do independent work for us. They should find a legal means to fight with the Deputy EC Commissioner Albert Jogbaje Akachi South. Alasan Wana says Ghana's economy is increased 3.7% to 7.9 in 2017 under this current administration led by President Akufo-Addo. Sami, must you politicize everything in this country? You expect the Yoko to go there without police, or you want the police to go there and armed who? You are daunting your political career with this behavior. You are the type that will keep NDC in opposition for long. Anthony Boga Yorgo. Are you prophesying or are you spelling doom for Sami? Good morning, TV3. Condemning terrorist actions alone is not enough. If any citizen should kill someone today, it is enough to only condemn the act and allow the person to be moving freely. The MPP guy can't be serious. Oscar from Ashama. These are your thoughts here on New Day on TV3. Gentlemen, thank you. We're wrapping up. No, gentlemen, let's wrap up. Harriet says we need to wrap up.
We need to wrap up, right?
Yes. No, we're wrapping up. So your closing thoughts. Your closing thoughts. I'll give you 1 minute. 1 minute. Your clock starts now.
Let's elevate the discussion when it comes to national discourse. We cannot continue to do this thing to ourselves. You see, under President Mills, Agubrosi, broad daylight, over 8 people were slaughtered because of security challenges. 8 Ghanaians.
30 seconds more.
In Abogleshi. We've seen a lot of difficulties in terms of security around the country. But because of that particular incident, under President Rawlings, I remember when the Konkomba and Numba war happened, would you say that a president orchestrated that? Under President Akufo, there was similar issues. As a country, we continue to increase and also try to put in measures in place
five
to care some of these.
Thank you.
I'm happy. No, 5 seconds.
No, it's okay.
I'm happy. Yesterday, the president announced the 14%.
You had time. You didn't say
because
that.
Obviously, the topics you brought did not include that.
Thank you. Yes.
My brother,
we had time to talk. I had listed it. You didn't allow me.
I didn't allow you. You continue to allow us
the
to talk
cases
about
of lawlessness that he's alluding to are materially different from what is under discussion here. If people were, brutalized at Agbobloshi, you cannot compare that to state, or to known tax
20 seconds more.
And groups of the NPP who attacked a court of competent jurisdiction under broad daylight. You cannot compare the two. You cannot compare that to, known members of the ruling government attacking.
Time is up. Thank you. My guests this morning have been Richard Asante. He is a communicator for the NPP, and Sami Jemfi is a communicator for the NDC. Gentlemen, thank you very much. And Richard Asante, I noted to talk about 14%, but you kept asking for, if he speaks, I'll speak. If he speaks, so you bet your time.
That is a very nebulous.
I thank you very much, gentlemen. We'll talk about it as we move on. Sports is up next.
You would realize that that is a
Stay with us here on NewDay.
I'm telling you, that is an obvious fault.
Welcome back. Let's talk about health now. So yesterday you did hear from us, from the finder, that the prevalence of HIV/AIDS has increased in Ghana. And of course, it seems as if the education concerning HIV/AIDS has dwindled over time. But we're yet to ask some of the questions and get answers from Dr. Stephen A.C. Addo. He's the manager of National AIDS Control Program. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thank you for the invitation.
You're most welcome. Thank you for honoring it. But let's talk about the percentages. There was an error which the finder has corrected this morning, but whatever it is, there has been some increase in the numbers, hasn't there?
Yes, that's right. So let me set the record straight. First of all, we now even analyzing the data for 2017.
Okay.
All right, so we'll disseminate it in about a month or two.
Right.
Now, the figures that were quoted were for 2016.
Okay.
And therefore, if the people were talking about a change, it was from 2015 to 2016.
Very well.
Now, we should distinguish between prevalence and then new infections. As far as prevalence is concerned, we use the ANC prevalence, which is HIV amongst pregnant women.
Right.
And at the last count in 2016, the prevalence in the whole country was 2.4.
Okay.
The previous year, which was 2015, was 1.8. And 2014 was 1.6.
Well.
Now, if you take regional spread, it's ranged from 0.7 from the northern region to 2.7 in Brong-Ahafo and Volta region. You know, so that was the picture. Now, using that primary data, we generate the new infections and projections. And every year, once we generate, it takes precedence over the previous year's estimates.
Right.
Now, when we did it for 2016, the new infections were 20,418. The previous year was 20,244.
Okay.
The change, therefore, was about just 0.8%.
Right.
All right, so that is it. Now, we are not interested sometimes only in a one-year change. We're interested in a trend.
A trend.
Which is why what you said is important, whether it's rising or not. If you do a 10, 20, 16-year trend, there's actually a reduction in about 45%.
Oh.
If you did, let's say, about a 11-year, 10-year, 9-year trend, then it's about 5%.
Okay.
However, if you do, let's say, from 2011, and I would like us to stay at 2011 to 2016, because that is where we noticed that now the increase was sustained, was like continuous.
Okay.
And when you did that, it's about 18%. And that was clarified by the Director General for Ghana AIDS Commission yesterday on DTV. Yes. So we have noticed an increase trend. And that is also corroborated with the prevalence among pregnant women, which we also noticed was increasing from 1.6 to 1.8 to 2.4.
Very well.
So that is the picture as we speak.
But before we delve deeper, can we help the viewers understand exactly why we use antenatal cards, or the pregnant women, to identify, let's say, the prevalence for HIV in the country?
WHO establishes that it's a good proxy for the general population. Now, ideally, we should be doing general population estimation, but it will be expensive. With 28 million, if you need a certain minimum sample to be able to conclude for the whole country, we can't do it annually. But based on the science, the pregnant woman data, ANC data, is a good proxy.
Okay.
And that is why once you do that, you use that as a primary data to generate further estimates for the whole country. And we use the UNA's tools. This is a globally accepted tool, Spectrum EPP. When we did that in 2016, the national prevalence was 1.6. So it's good to distinguish. Among pregnant women, it's 2.4. National was 1.6. Which means that beyond the pregnant women, you have children and the elderly. Now, if HIV is mainly transmitted through sex, naturally that's to be expected, because pregnant women, it means that they've had unprotected sex.
Certainly.
And they will have a higher prevalence. if children come in, they have not started. Adults, they may have retired. So if you put that, then you get a dilutionary effect.
Right.
So on an annual basis, what is most cost effective is to be using that. And we're even now looking at using the routine data minus a survey to be able to estimate. When you do the routine data also, you notice a little rise. But the data is not consistent. So there are some kind of quality measures, assurance measures that you add when you are doing the survey.
Okay.
Yeah, so we will continue to use the survey to monitor the trend for a while.
Very well.
Until we have very improved quality, which is comparable with the routine data collection.
So like you said, looking at the trends over a number of years, it seems to have decreased generally. But when we look at 2011 to 2016 thereabout, it seems to be increasing steadily. I would like you to identify some of the advantages or some of the things you've put in place to help with the decrease, as well as what you're not doing right that has led to the increase.
Okay, so if you take about a decade and more beyond, there was a lot of buzz about HIV, prevention, awareness, media, and all that, drawing people's attention. That was the time that we said that HIV is so big, and there's a lot of fear. If you have HIV, you have AIDS, and all that. I was just at the beginning of antiretroviral therapy introduction. At that time, the story was true, because if you had HIV, there was no guarantee that you would survive because we didn't have treatment. Now, in 2003 or so, when we started introducing antiretroviral therapy, we noticed that it was significantly making a difference in survival, first of all. And then if anybody was on treatment, it also reduces the viral load. And therefore, even if the person has sex with another person, the risk of transmission reduces.
Okay.
Now, all these were going on in addition to HIV testing services, prevention, education. People be encouraged to know their status and all that. That contributed. The school health programs had been launched, freshly. And so people in school were getting some continuous education. We were also dealing with sexually transmitted infections. And if you check the data, syphilis prevalence has also declined over time. Now, if a person has a sexually transmitted infection, the risk of developing HIV or getting HIV is higher. Now, so once you are reducing STI prevalence, HIV prevalence should also decline. So if you notice, even among Sentinel, the surveys, if you take a 10-year trend, we are on the decline.
Right.
Okay. But the recent happening is because some of these prevention activities have also reduced. Now, the issue of treatment has a dual effect. It is positive in the sense that it reduces the risk of transmission. But it also means that those who are on treatment are alive, and they are potential transmitters. So we know always, even that, now the rate of decline will be slower, because prevalence is both new cases plus the existing. So it has a dual effect in slowing down the pace of decline, but we need to complement that with the prevention aspect. And that has been missing for a while. To date, a lot of prevention activities within the healthcare setting is limited because we don't have the resources to go to the community to do know your status campaigns and all that. The funding that has come traditionally from Global Fund is being prioritized for very specific areas. And a lot is going into treatment because the point is, if you don't have medication, why do you go and bring more people to put them on treatment? And so there's been a lot of discussion to also make sure that this funding is complemented by government. And hopefully this year, because we have declared 90-90-90, the explanation is that for all people estimated to be HIV, 90% should know their status. The last estimate, we put the figure at 290,000 estimated population. So by 2020, 90% should know their status. To do that, you need to test people. We need to test about 30 million by 2020, so about 2.6 million. Government has committed to that. Government is going to provide test kits. We're not only going to test, we're going to link it to prevention education. So once that happens, then we are now accounting for what has been missing, which is leading to maybe a gradual rise. You will notice that we've come one generation. The young people are now old. So the young people today have to be targeted. So we have to reactivate our school health programs. We have to make sure that we target out-of-school youth. And I always commend free SHS because it helps us to get a captive audience. We get more people in school that you can be able to reach with information on HIV prevention. So we are going to do that. We're going to take advantage of targeted settings to increase our testing. And we don't want to also do the same things we did like 10 years ago. If you go testing the whole population for its sake, you will get up about 2%. So we'll be looking at men in some settings, in high-risk groups, men who have sex with men, female sex workers, STI clinics. We'll be targeting orphanages, places where we know that there's a potential, relative higher numbers. In the routine care, we'll be doing an OPD testing. The Director General has sent a directive. That's anybody who comes to the clinic. If you come for any service at all, we do routine offer of HIV testing, if it's malaria or whatever. Because if you look at institutional prevalence, it's higher.
It is.
And most people who are sick are likely to have HIV. That's why, they come. So we're going to do all these things to increase the testing.
Okay.
And then the second 90 is that we'll put 90% on treatment. How do we do this? Because we had a criteria, CD4 or WHO clinical staging. We have now removed all those. And we are doing treat all. Treat all means that now if you're identified as positive, you will now be given treatment in the shortest possible time. Now, once we increase the number of people on treatment and they continue to take their medications, then there will be viral suppression. Then overall, the risk of transmission to the other people will be minimized. We believe that this will significantly make a difference in actually stemming the tide in the gradual increase that we are observing.
But looking at what currently exists with the voluntary counseling and testing, that even people, that's the free one where you can walk in and be spoken to, then you test. People are even averse to that. So how do you think this new directive, where on the OPD basis we're going to be testing people, is going to work? Okay,
now I think we've reset the stage. In the early days, even where there was a lot of fear, we managed to encourage people to be queuing to test. When we're doing the outreach testing. And therefore, it's a matter of counseling and talking to people. My message always is that if you come, you're likely to be negative. Because if I take 100 people, maximum 2 will be positive. Even if you are part of that 2, the story is different. In the past, if you were part of that 2, we could only give you Septrin, to keep your opportunistic infections managed. Now we will give you treatment, antiretroviral therapy that when you take and you adhere, you will be fine. And it becomes like any chronic disease like diabetes or hypertension and all that. Now, I can tell you that many more people are dying from other causes than even HIV. When Ebola came, I was asking people to choose between Ebola and HIV, and people preferred HIV because you die faster than, So I think the picture has changed, and that is why we're trying to deal with the stigma related to it. People say, why are you not, stoking the fears in people? But we've moved beyond that stage. That phase now, we're no more in the phase of fear. We're saying that if you have HIV, don't hide. Come, you get treatment. We have made provision for a lot of medication. We're going to also launch the initiative called the Differentiated Service Delivery. Now, through this initiative, now people will get a longer period of subscription, not 1 month, not 2 months, but let's say 6 months, so that people will minimize the cost of, coming to the clinic and so on and so forth. So these are all mechanisms that we're putting in place to make sure that we still bring the epidemic within control.
Very well. So I have been speaking to Dr. Stephen A.C. Addo. He's the manager of National AIDS Control Program, and I'm sure he has made you aware of the need to go and test to know your HIV status, because really it is not a death scare. There is treatment for you out there. Certainly we have more on New Day for you. Stay with us.
He has 1,200 acres of rice farm in Ghana, and many have thought that, well, that's impossible. Even the Greek experts think it is unthinkable. But I have with me the CEO of A&G Agromechanical, Thomas Abanga. Thomas, good morning. And Happy New Year.
Same to
I haven't
you.
seen you this year on telly.
Definitely.
How's it going for you?
Well, I think things are okay. I mean, we are just trying to see how we'll be able to move this country forward in terms of the agri sector. So
last week, Amma had a conversation with you about how climate change was affecting our agri. I want us to start the conversation on the note of irrigation, funding, post-harvest innovation. So we take it one after the other. Last year, the New Year School spoke about agri and ICT. What's your general overview of agri in this country?
You know, like I always say, look, in this country we have almost 24 million hectares of land. And out of the 24 million, we have 57% are irrigable that we can cultivate in our agri fields. What I'm trying to say is that we have the land. What is lacking is the technology, the know-how, the innovation, the system in place, the policy. I think that's all that we need to get it in place before we can actually move agriculture.
1,200 acres of farmland, rice to be specific, is unthinkable. And you're Ghanaian.
Yeah.
How did you do it? Because others are struggling. 3 acres, 4 acres, they complain about funding and everything else. What's the trick?
You know, for me, 1,200 acres is nothing.
It is?
It is nothing as compared to other countries where they talk about 20,000 hectares, 30,000 hectares. I think putting the right agronomic practices.
For example, what?
You know, the expertise, the principles of agriculture, looking at agriculture as science. I think those are the basic things, and putting what is needed. You know, like I always keep telling people, look, we cannot divorce science from agriculture. We cannot, the principle involved, like, how do we practice agriculture? How do we look at agriculture in this modern world? If we look at before independence and even after independence, we talk about a state farm.
Right.
You know what Nkrumah did?
Everyone had a state farm.
Then Achampong came, we had Operation Feed Ourselves.
Right.
You know, you look at that paradigm shift, keep going on. And as the paradigm shift changes, the agronomic practices or the agrometrics changes.
There's one planting for food and jobs now. Does it change anything?
I think this is a very great opportunity for Ghana, for Ghanaians to have on.
Okay.
Because it's an initiative. And I think what we need to look on, what the government need to see, how do we engage the private sector? You know, we always talk about smallholder farmers, outgrowers. Yeah, that's a very good idea. But what we need right now, we need to stop the bleeding before we can talk about treatment. Let the government look and find out private sectors who are actually serious. I'm not talking about the jokers, people who just want to show off like they are farmers. I'm talking about real farmers.
You have 1,200 acres.
Exactly.
How does the government engage you, for example? You did it on your own.
Yeah, I did it on my own. But you see,
how can the government
we're talking about risk involved. And for me, what I wanted to do is that, look, I wanted to say, okay, I'll be able to mitigate down the risk.
Okay.
Do it on my own. Let the government come and say, okay, this guy is actually serious in what he's doing. So I think those who are in the private sector in agriculture need to come up with their own initiatives, applying all the agronomic practices, engaging in the innovation that will actually move, that will actually show that they are into this
There
game.
are many who maybe have achieved like you, who would say, oh, I did it on my own. Why should I now give in to government? If government wants, they should go and start their own. What do you say to that?
You know, there's one American president who said, don't what the government can do for you, what you can do for your country. Government and people are intertwined. It's government and people that build the economy. So you cannot just say, okay, as a private sector, I don't want to engage in government. Government is in charge of policy.
Let's talk about funding, which is a major problem for many people who want to get into agri. The ADB was set up to fund things like this, but it does almost close to nothing these days. I remember last year, the 68 New Year School, they proposed an agri fund that will support private sector and people interested in agri and institutions interested in agri. What's your perspective of funding of agri?
Well, I think Agri Development Bank was instituted to actually help farmers, but we have to look along the round. Why is it that they are now more into commercial than in agri? I think we have to come to basic and say, like, well, farmers need to actually put their house in order for them to come in. And also the government...
How do you mean they should put their house in order?
Well, you know, what I'm saying is the government engaging with the farmers have to come out with a good policy that will actually mitigate the risk factor.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So if the risk factor is not reduced, I think most institutions are getting afraid into it. But I think it is about time now, like you can see what A&G or Abanga Farm is doing. I mean, there's now a sign that we're actually doing things.
I'll show photos of what you're doing on your farm shortly. But what are the risks? For example, how do we create a business champion like you who's tested the waters, created 1,200 acres of rice farm? Because I am amazed. People try and it doesn't work. You did. What was the trick for you in terms of funding and in terms of what you did better?
You know, John, I'll tell you something. I love this country. I'm a product of this country.
Better than the president?
I am. Oh no, president. He's a hero. He's the president of the United States. You know, and I'm doing the farming. Right. He's governing. What I say is that I love this country. I'm a product of agriculture. I understand the dynamics in agriculture. I understand the contribution of agriculture to our economy. So I think I've been motivated, based as a private citizen, to use agriculture as a tool to contribute my quota to the country. And I think, as you can see, A&G or Abanga Farms is taking the lead in this rice production in this country, because we need to do something about this rice.
We import how much rice? Millions of dollars?
Well, if we look at the last statistics, the last numbers that I got is about $1.2 billion that was spent.
How can we change it? I want to show a bit of the farm. This is what we're talking about. This 1,200. I saw it myself, and I thought that I should bring it to your attention. 1,200 acres. That's a huge one there for one individual. And many rice experts think that, well, it is not. That's a big one there. And I'm a bit curious, though. Mr. Abanga, how many people are employed on this farm, for example?
Well, I think we have progressive employment. We have permanent workers, about 25, and then when it's the main season, we'll go up to about 50.
Interesting. And so if we, for example, focus on producing rice locally, what benefits will come to us?
Well,
Give me top three.
Number one is that we will reduce our foreign exchange being exported.
Okay.
Number two, we'll talk about job creation. And let me just talk a little bit about job creation. We need to get women and youth involved in agriculture. If you go to India, Pakistan, North Korea, South Korea, and other developed countries, women are actually engaged. And we need to get government support, initiative that would actually energize them, that would actually motivate them, especially the youth. Look, agri is a very intriguing industry, very, very interesting.
Do you think we have paid lip service to it in this country?
Well, I will not say that, because I can say that now, as we see the current government, they have put the necessary foundation.
Is it enough? Where's the ICT in agri that the new US could propose?
You see, we need to jump frog. You know, we need to jump frog, getting away from analog agriculture and going into digital agriculture. And what I mean is that we need to get scientific involvement. Our experts, you know, need to get involved, disseminate information to the farmers. Look, you need to practice A, B, C, D.
But where's the data? The geospatial data?
Well, that's what you see. There's a disengagement.
Okay.
The geospatial department need to engage with Ministry of Agri. If you look, we need to have right now, as we talk right now, we need to be having post-harvest evaluation.
Silos you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about post-harvest evaluation before silos. We are not having that. We had an army worm that was attacking us brutally. We need to have a research into it. Then we establish preventive measures. Then when it's time to cultivate, do you understand what I'm saying? We already know, okay, we've taken care of this. We shouldn't wait until any worms come, then we start to attack it. No, we need to have an evaluation. We need to have a research, have a preventive measure. And that's where the government need to come in. That's where institutions need to come in.
We will talk more about agri later on, because I'm interested in the post-harvest thing, which
post-harvest evaluation.
Exactly, evaluation silos. Dr. Nkrumah put up a lot of silos. I don't know what has become of them, but we'll talk about it later. Thank you very much, Mr. Thomas Abanga. He's the CEO of A&G Agromechanical. They're into farming and they assemble farm inputs as well. We'll take a break at this point. Return to wrap up the conversation here on NewDay. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Well, that's just to wrap up the show. Of course, if I hear music and I don't move, very soon my bones become
the fever has caught up with you.
Yeah, eventually. It has to. I mean, you have to move your body. I won't stand to dance. That's a no-no. But I can sit.
Why would you stand to dance? Please send us a text if you want to see Amma dance.
It's because I want our viewers to play a game one day, and if I stand, I'll spoil the game. So after I play the game, I'll start dancing by standing.
We gotta go. But a bit of information, though. All right, please. So we spoke about this last week around the East Legon area. Yes, it's Ajirigano. Okay, and we spoke about it, and it was on the Ni Uklejo Soa Damite Street. And we mentioned Ni Noi Adumoi's name. He's the MC. Good news is that it's been cleared. Community Connect has gotten it. Yes, that's a NewDay Community Connect. So it's sorted. It's been cleared, and it was cleared in good time. So that's it for you. It's been all the way cleared, and we're grateful that at least we got results. So kudos to our friends out there at the Adenta municipality. We're grateful that you listen to us, and we are happy that the people out there can heave a sigh of relief. But today is a birthday of this lovely lady, lovely Mawina Enam. It's your birthday today. Can you believe that she's single? Can you? She's told me that she's single.
I can believe. I mean, being single just means that you're not officially married, but she probably has someone in her pocket.
Oh, okay. She has not said that to me yet. She's like Harriet, so I'm thinking.
But her name matches her beauty. Lovely. The name matches the beauty.
Yes. She's a nurse. She's a nurse, actually. Yeah.
Nice.
So she does a lot of psychiatric stuff. Yeah. So happy birthday to you. And if it's your birthday today, happy birthday as well. And to you, belated one to you, Mrs. Amable.
Yes.
Grandma. Happy birthday to you. Yes, we love you. And to you as well, Abigail from Bright. Bright says...
The Abigail who knows herself.
She said Abigail is a grandmother's daughter's cousin who just returned from the States after a long stay. And she's not very well known in the family. Can you imagine?
Then Abigail.
But a good morning also to Pudding Masters and to Gary Soak. Yesterday I enjoyed Gary Soak.
Yes, I saw a picture with you.
Sweet. Yes. Walked up to me and gave me guys. It was sweet. I mean, I enjoyed it. Pudding Masters. I like what our young people are doing.
Exactly.
They are not engaging in Sakawa and 419. They want to rather do business.
Toiling the land and working their hands.
And you know, most of them are ladies. The women who would rather not sell their bodies off or try and get to some big man sleepover and get some small coins, but they're trying to earn, and I salute them. Two women, Yvonne Akowa of Pudding Masters and Juliet Gau of Gary Soak. I appreciate you. I'm grateful. I just met
And I don't know if you've tasted the shavings. There's these new coconut shavings that,
what you gave me the other time,
Johnny.
What you gave me the other time. And I like Logoligi as well. There's a gentleman who does mango chips. Logoligi mango chips is a proud Bleobi. So
I think you're all doing
Yvonne and Juliet are supposed to be journalists trained from the Ghana Institute of Journalism. But the journalists, there's no journalism job, so they are doing entrepreneurial stuff, and I appreciate them. I'm grateful. And to Kingdom Ministers,
necessity is the mother of invention. Isn't that how it goes?
Yes. When the economy is tough, you work. So congratulations to you, ladies, and to you, Kingdom Ministers. Good morning. Sunday will be time of praise at St. Joseph. We'll be there to enjoy ourselves. So we gotta go.
Yes, we have to go.
I like that song by Ms. V and Yemi Alade. It's sweet.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's so
I like
sweet.
The beat.
It's Tuesday. You have to dance. Please dance.
We'll see you same time tomorrow. It'll be Wednesday midweek. We'll rock your show. NewDay continues certainly throughout the week up until Friday when we wrap up. Have a blessed day.